This is the Four-Man Rush. Hello, Panther fans, and welcome to another podcast with the Four-Man Rush. I'm your host, Timmy V.O., here with Kevin, Will, and Monty's back in the building. Larry should be joining us soon, hopefully, and we'll let you know when he does, right? Right. So another week of preseason football is coming up. The Panthers are going to be playing the New England Patriots, and we're going to touch on that. And we're also going to talk about, of course, the previous game with the Bills. I guess you say Bills Part 2 after the joint practice. You have the pregame for the preseason, then you have the preseason game itself. But we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the upcoming game with the Patriots, what we've seen in some of the positions, whether it be running back, whether it be offensive line, whatever. We're going to cover all that because we saw a lot of discrepancies last week. It was subpar to the subpar, to say the least. But we're going to touch on all that. And welcome to the Four-Man Rush podcast. Let's start off with the game from last week with the Bills. We saw some good things, a lot of bad things, but we did see some good things, and we'll touch on that. And we'll start with Kevin, and then we'll touch off with Will, and we're going to talk with Monty also about that. Kevin, the Bills game, WTF, bro? I mean, I saw some good things, but yeah, let's touch on everything about the Bills game because there's a lot to talk about.
Yeah, that was definitely a whiskey tango foxtrot moment if I ever seen one, bro. I'm trying to tell you. Yeah. Shout out to all our military folks that's checking out the Four-Man Rush. Y'all know what we're talking about.
Yep.
But yeah, man, sitting at the game, it felt good being back in Bank of America Stadium, back in session 550, with my peoples. And, expectations weren't high, but, based on how the joint practices had went, I definitely was expecting more than what the product was left out on the field. When I think about the game, first two drives on offense and defense, the Panthers were flat like church sold on a Sunday afternoon. I mean, They literally were like, I just didn't see none of that sizzle, none of that pop, none of that sense of urgency that I was seeing during them joint practices. I don't know if we kind of got a little cocky of ourselves because how well we did in the joint practices. But, I think Sean McDermott kind of wanted to, prove a little point, even though it's preseason. I just really felt like that the energy from the team just was low, and it just carried over from the first team to the second and the third. I look forward to the team rebounding from that performance definitely this upcoming week against New England. But overall, I really just saw in the trenches, the defensive line was playing good. The first team, the starters. We only ran two different types of defensive personnel. When we was in our base, it was the 3-4, and when we was in nickel, it was the 4-2-5. So when we was in our base defense, when they did attempt to run the ball, they got their ass handed to them by us. The defensive line, McCoy and Short were making plays. Poe was pushing the center back. We had Mario Addison, Bruce Irvin making plays. I mean, them guys were making staple plays, particularly when we got in the red zone. But once they came off the field after they did their 3 series, man, we just didn't see no more sizzle, man. It was just very flat. And I, for one, expect better this team, but this is what preseason is all about. Not going to overreact, but it's definitely something to grab the attention. And if we know anything about Ron Rivera, we know that practice this week was definitely going to be intense and high impact. Definitely think that we're going to have a better showing this next coming week.
Gotta hope so, man. Gotta hope so. And we can see, a lot more of our starters. Cam will be back, apparently, and things of that nature. So it's going to be interesting. Yeah, Will, go ahead and follow up, bro. I already said my bit.
Yeah, I mean, you just got to remember what preseason football is all about. It's more about player evaluation and trying to go out there and win the game. And I just think, I don't think the score was reflective of what was really happening. You look at that first couple series, I thought the defensive line looked strong. Buffalo had to get the ball out quick to avoid that pass rush that was coming Josh Allen's way. So they were spreading us out and picking on our second-string linebackers. If Luke and Shaq is out there, I'm not so sure it happens that easily. So you just got to keep those things in mind. That you can be concerned about the depth. What if a linebacker goes out and Carter and Smith has to step in? You still want to see those guys play better, but I don't think that's a true reflection of what you're going to see from the defense. On offense, same thing. Guys were getting open, but the quarterbacks weren't hitting on target. I think Kyle Allen struggled. Mm-hmm. When Kyle Allen was struggling, I was like, man, it's a golden opportunity for Will Greer.
Right.
Man, was I wrong. He was probably better off sitting on the bench the whole game.
Man.
In that case.
Where's that boy's clipboard?
Will Greer stunk it up. Kyle Allen stunk it up. So, they just weren't able to. And when you got guys stinking it up like that, the receivers can't show out. The running backs can't show out. Backup offensive line, you got guys trying to make the team. They weren't making holes and getting movement up front. So now the running backs can't show out. So I think, I just wanted a better performance from the backups, because we're one cramp or one hamstring away from those guys being starters. So we got to be able to depend on those guys when it counts. On the positive side, Jordan Scarlett, Reggie Bonifant, the running back depth, you got to be excited about what you saw there. I think we got some good depth behind McCaffrey. Help him. Let my man get some Gatorade this year, man. 95% of the snaps. That's a lot for a running back.
That's a lot, yeah.
I think this year we can let McCaffrey, step aside for a play or two, get some Gatorade and not miss a beat.
Right.
On defense, Gaulden's played well all preseason. I thought that went kind of under the radar. The starting line, like Kev said, McCoy, KK, Addison, those guys, played very well. The second D-line, we could probably see a little bit more out of them. But, hopefully we just start to click better this week. Third preseason game is about when you want to see your best football being played. So that's something we got to look forward to this week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Monty, I know it's been a while, man. Glad to have you back. What'd you think about the Bills game, bro?
Yes, sir. First, glad to be back. And I think Kevin will hit on it for the most part. I think that so often we forget that what Will said most is this is player evaluation. And I read somewhere the other day that preseason games is just a glorified practice. So I think we all have to just keep that in mind with our expectations, one, and us being not reminding ourselves not to get too high, too low. I was definitely not happy and disappointed with the outcome of the game, and to see Kyle Allen and Will Greer struggle the way they did, and not to get much push up front from the O-line and what have you. But then I also remind myself a lot of these guys are backups, and where I agree with Will, we are one hamstring away or one injury away from them being starters. We also, these are guys. This is what it's meant for. This is what's preseason. This is what we do preseason for. To get guys better and to get young guys in and see what they bring to the table and what we can get out of them. So I was definitely disappointed, but I left not too upset. Yeah, I'm probably one of the few that wasn't too upset because again, this is just player evaluation. And then hearing Ron Rivera come out and say that all we did was run vanilla defenses and then only having run two different schemes on defense, that just kind of more confirmed that, we didn't even come into the game with a full game plan. So, I'm not overly worried. Like Will said, when you have guys like Scarlett and Bonifant have the games that they had, even with a suspect O-line and your quarterback playing out real well, and then with the D line playing as well as they did up front and early, that's pretty much what we expected to see. So I'm content with it, man. This game probably will be the game I'd probably be more worried about if we lay egg like we did this last week. So I think we'll be okay. Fans, relax. We'll be okay.
Yeah, don't get too upset, folks. And it is a glorified practice. Let's be real about it. There's a lot of I can't say a lot, but there's several NFL coaches who don't even want preseason games to be played. They want to come out of practice and go straight into the season, and I don't blame them. I don't blame him because you have to worry about injuries, and
Absolutely.
that is a big deal. And
you got the guy's football man, the safety from San Diego. He just he's going to be out with a stress fracture from practice. So again, we have to remind ourselves that this is player evaluation, and we want to come out of preseason as healthy as possible. So if I got to see a couple blowout games in preseason and we come out and put the hammer on people during the regular season, I'm 110% on board for it.
Yeah, so. I'm cool with that, man. Shoot, you have something to say, Kevin?
Yeah, that was. I'll just tell him, Monty. Yeah, that was star safety for the Chargers, Derwin James, who got the stress fracture, I believe, in his right foot, and they're talking about he's going to be out like 4 months. I mean, that's basically literally all. That's pretty much coming back maybe around December. And if anybody's had a stress fracture, even when it's quote unquote healed, it's still going to take you like maybe 2-3 weeks to really get it back right. So there's a possibility, depending on where their record at, that he might just, just have to ride this one out and try again next year. I hate it for him because he was just someone that I personally like watching play last year, as a safety. So, you definitely hate anytime injuries take away from somebody. And I know how people feel about, preseason games and stuff like that. But my personal opinion, I think preseason games are needed because think about it. You just keep hitting on your teammates for 5-6 weeks, you're going to see way more fights than you probably want to have to deal with, So I think it's good to, switch it up and hit off on some different people because I know how it was when I played ball, after 2 weeks, I hated everybody that was on my team, I got tired of looking at them. So, it's pros and cons with it one way or the other. But, I don't have no problem with it. My position be if they want to stretch out the season or cut the preseason games, let the 7 players y'all have be active. Like, let the whole 53-man roster be available for every game if we're going to do that. That's how I see it.
Yeah, that's fair.
I think with you got guys like Jordan Kunazic, playing late in the game, getting film. I think he had like 7 tackles in his last preseason game. So, I mean, guys like that, playing in those late third and fourth quarter, it's a good opportunity for them to get film on them and try to, if they don't make the Panthers, get on another team. And again, that has nothing to do with the Panthers regular season, if they end up getting cut. But that's really what preseason is for, just evaluate players, see where they fill out your roster, see, get your depth in order, and for guys to get, highlight tapes to try to, pursue their careers with other teams possibly. So that's pretty much what preseason is all about.
I just hope we can get to that Rams game fully healthy. That's gonna be a test and a half, man. That Rams game, it's gonna be a test right there, especially for our O-line. But anyway, so we have the Patriots coming up. Interesting. We also have a Cam Newton starting. We have a Luke Kuechly starting, and I believe CMC is going to get some runs, and so we're going to get our first real look at this starting offense going up against the New England Patriots. What do you think, fellas? Let's start with you, Will. What do you think we're going to see from the offensive side of the ball? And then we'll talk about the defense after we get through that.
Well, I love the fact that we play the Patriots every preseason because it kind of just gives you a measuring stick of how do we look like against a champion. We get to see how they prepare, get some rub off on them. And Bill Belichick likes playing the Panthers because he knows what he's going to get. He's going to get good looks. So I think I like that we play the Patriots in the preseason every year. This Friday, I just want to see, the offense look crisp. I don't want to see them in there too long. I know what Cam Newton and Christian McCaffrey can do. I want to see Jordan Scarlett possibly get some reps with the ones as well so we can kind of see, what his skill set's all about and have him go up against stiffer competition as well with the Patriots ones. The defense, you're not going to get a better look than as far as Tom Brady. So, I think that's a big plus to get a look at our defense, our pass rush, our secondary. The Patriots, they're going to come out like the Bills. They're going to try to spread us out and, attack the linebackers. So let's see if they're up for the challenge. You're going to have to deal with, Julian Edelman. They got a good rookie guy named N'Keal Harry. They got a good depth at wide receiver. They got James White coming out of the backfield, Sony Michel. So it's going to be a good test. I love that we play the Patriots. I want to play the best to see where we measure up and see what we need to work on and get ready for the Week 1 game. Because the Rams, they're going to be favored again to win the NFC, I bet. So we got to be fully prepared going into that one.
Monty, what you think about the upcoming New England game?
Yeah, I'm personally excited to see what we get out of our offense, and get out of the guys this week. It's definitely going to be interesting and real fun to see both, not only the first team offense but the first team defense take the field together as a whole unit. So I think that's going to be very exciting, and seeing guys like McCoy first time with the whole defensive unit together. So that's going to be exciting. I'm just personally, I want to come out of the game. I'm very excited to see Cam throw and his rapport with guys like DJ Moore and Curtis Samuel and Christian McCaffrey. But, same with the other preseason games. The number one priority for me is just coming out healthy and getting prepared for Week 1, and definitely I love, like Will said, I love that we get to measure ourselves with arguably the best team in the modern era. Or modern Super Bowl era that we've seen in a long time, So I think it's definitely going to be fun to go up against Tom Brady and Bill Belichick and to see how well we do against a Super Bowl caliber team like them. But again, as I said earlier, let's not make this game bigger than what it is. It is still preseason, even though it is the dress rehearsal. So, priority number one for me is getting our guys out, getting healthy, and just let's just see some growth. Let's see that rapport that Cam has been working on. Let's see that new throwing motion. Let's see what this offense is potentially can look like come Week 1 and during the season. So yeah, man, I'm excited for Friday, man.
Right on, man. Heck yeah. Hey, ladies and gentlemen. Larry's in the building. What's up, Larry?
What's going on, fellas? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, what's up, bro? Welcome in. Welcome.
Welcome to the four-man rush, man. What's up?
I'm running a little bit late. I'm sorry about that, though.
Are you good? You good? You just in time to talk about this Patriots matchup that we got. We got our I believe we have all our offensive starters on the roster for that game. So what are you expecting to see out of our starters on offense?
I just want to watch the trenches. I've been very displeased with the way the offensive line has performed, not on an individual basis, but collectively. It just hasn't looked like the unit that I was expecting to see thus far. I just know that takes reps, continuity, stuff like that. So I just want to see it all come together. Like, I'll give you an example. I like the way that Trey Turner and Matt Paradis have been working together, combo blocks, communication, and stuff like that. But, they both have had their bad reps as well. Taylor Moton has looked like he's primed to improve the way he improved from last year. But he's had some bad reps as well. Same with Van Roten, same with whether it's going to be Darryl or Greg Little. Everybody's had good reps and bad reps. It's just been a lack of consistency. So on the dress rehearsal, I just want to see all 5 guys come together and look like a machine.
Right on, man. Right on. Kevin, what are you expecting to see, bro?
Yeah, for me, I'm looking at from a defensive point of view. I'm more interested in than our offense because, I know you're only good as the last game you play, but in 2017, when we went to New England, we hung up 34 points. So I'm pretty confident that with more skilled players than what we had before and a better offensive line, I feel like that if this was a game test for real, we would do well from an offensive point of view. I want to see how we counteract the wits of Tom Brady from a defensive point of view. The type of weaponry that they can put out, their very various formations. I mean, I'm not a Patriots fan at all, but I love their playbook. I love their how their offense. What they do is that they tailor their game plan week by week according to what your weaknesses are. And to be honest, even though our starters haven't been on defense, and for the most part, but I feel like they're still going to try to target the linebackers because so far that's something that's been seen, and they're probably looking at the fact that Shaq and Luke haven't played that much or haven't played at all, really. so far. So it wouldn't surprise me if they try to get their slot receivers on the inside on spread formations, or, running backs coming out the flats and things of that nature. So I want to see how we respond to the Patriots from a defensive point of view, how we're going to match up when they come out in their spread formation, their bunch formation. They can also line it up 2-3 tight ends with a fullback and go power. I want to see that with this new, hybrid look that we're going to do, that we've been running, how we're going to respond to such a different, complex offensive scheme that we're going to now. I'm not expecting New England to throw everything, but, New England is New England. They have an arrogance about them that's well earned. So it wouldn't surprise me if they don't try to, show off for their home fans as this is the last dress rehearsal for the regular season. So, I want to see how our defensive line do against their offensive line. I want to see how our linebackers match up when we get spread it out. And I definitely want to see how our secondary responds to, the quick passing game, as well as, them taking shots. Because, if you fellas haven't heard, they reinstated Josh Gordon. Now, I don't know if he's going to play this game. I know he did resume practice, but that's just another weapon in the mix, along with the other guys that we talked about so far. So for me, I'm looking at it from how well the Panthers defense match up with this complex offense that the New England Patriots going to bring, because this would let us know when we're facing the Rams and the Falcons and the Saints that we type offenses want to play, how it looks when we line up against multiple playmakers with a stud at quarterback.
Indeed. Now I'm assuming Tom is probably only going to play first quarter. Hopefully, we'll see. Because that defensive line is going. I don't think Tom wants to see that coming at him for over a quarter, because he's not going to be happy about that. But I am curious about going back to the offense side of the ball. I am curious to see Cam in action. Going up against a Bill Belichick coach defense, even though it is preseason. As Kevin mentioned, they do have an arrogance about them. So their work ethic, their drive is coming, right? It's going to be legit. It's going to be legit. So I'm curious to see how Cam is going to stand tall and deliver the football without going back to his old ways, so to say. He's going to be comfortable like that.
If you remember last year, watch these wide receivers. New England like to play a lot of man coverage.
Mm-hmm.
Our own Curtis Samuel, Stephon Gilmore turned around and twisted like a pretzel in that preseason game. So
yes, he did.
Watch these receivers work this week as well. We can get some highlight reels out of them to get you excited for the year.
No doubt. Yeah, I love to see some highlights. That's good stuff. That's good stuff.
Yeah, I'd definitely like to see how our tight ends do, because that's something has been made up. Ian Thomas, he's back from his rib. He's done made every practice this week. So with Olsen playing and Ian Thomas, it'd be a good chance for us to see what the two tight end look. I mean, Manhurst, he's got reps, and he's been looking pretty decent in preseason. So I definitely think our tight ends has a chance to be featured as well, because with Greg Olsen out there, we know we're going to get from him, but I think it's time to let our other tight ends be known and featured as well. So I definitely think it's a good game for our tight ends to feature and showcase themselves.
No doubt. And now, Monty, we talked about this last week. We touched on this last week about the linebacker core. Right, and how short we thought the linebacker core is. After you get past Shaq, it gets kind of fuzzy. Well, do you feel that way, or do you think the linebacker core has room to improve?
If we were going to say I don't want to say the weakling I think the depth is just not there when you compare it to other positions like corner. Now, our safety, safety has become a lot deeper than what we thought it would be at the start of camp and mini camp. And the defensive line, last year being one of the thinnest positions that we had on that defense, now is the bulkiest that we have on the defense. I think it's definitely room to improve, but I do like the talent that we have at linebacker, even outside of Shaq. It's just, they're young and we still have, they're still developing, and if we haven't learned anything with Shaq, some guys is going to take a couple years, it's not going to be where we're going to get that immediate production like we got out of Luke or like we got out of TD, and this is the crazy and funny thing about it. We have just been one of the more blessed teams in that regard for defense, for our defense, because we've just been blessed and lucky enough to have 2 All-Pro, Pro Bowl linebackers for 7-8 years, and for them both to play at a very high caliber. And now we're seeing with TD gone and, with Luke not playing a lot of any preseason games so far, it shows, you see what we're missing, and the lack there of not only veteran presence, but the lack of depth that we normally used to bank on. So, but I say that to say I like Carter. I think Carter is definitely a guy that we can, with another year and some more time under his belt, we can hang our hat on. And I say this, with the new 3-4 look, I think we have a lot of guys that we can move around on that defense to really help and soften that blow at the linebacker position. And I say this to say, last year the Rams had one of the worst linebacking cores in football, and they went to the Super Bowl. So go figure. I'm not overly worried. Again, health is my biggest thing, and I've been saying this since minicamp. If we can stay healthy, we are one of the dangerous teams in the NFL, one of the most dangerous teams in the NFL, and that's and I'm standing on that. It's just we just got to stay healthy.
Yeah, we was talking about that last week. I had to bring that up.
I might be the only one.
Go ahead, Larry.
I might be the only one concerned about that position, man. Like I don't like the depth. Not that I don't like the young players. I am a big fan of Carter. Andre Smith has showed me more than I expected. But at the same time, we're in a win-now zone. Like we're in a win-now mode. God forbid a guy like Luke Kuechly or Shaq goes down, just to fill in. That could be the weakest link, and we just can't afford that at the moment. I would just like to – I don't mind those young guys developing, but just get an insurance policy, like a Mason Foster type guy. Bring him in just in case those young guys aren't ready. Also, just wanted to comment on an additional thing I had about the preview for the Patriots. I think that they're going to lay out the blueprint. The way I feel going into the season, we have the absolute best defensive line in the NFL. The only way you really negate a defensive line is to dink and dunk and throw screens. So it's going to be imperative that our linebackers are flying up and making short tackles. Same thing with our safeties and our corners. We should go into all 16 games expecting it already. Teams are going to dink and dump us to death. That's just what is going to happen because our defensive line is not going to be stopped. I don't care who you are.
No.
I don't care if you're the Eagles, whatever it is.
No.
You just got to look at it like – way too talented to be stopped. You got to double team somebody.
Yes.
Somebody's going to get one-on-one every single down.
Right.
Somebody's going to put pressure on the quarterback. So
you're right, man. You're right.
The way they're going to try to fix that is not get better offensive linemen, but they're going to try to throw flats, throw screens, throw quick options out to the halfback, stuff like that. So we got to have good linebackers to come up and make tackles.
Yeah, and Will, just to piggyback off your comment just now, I'm not saying that I believe that we have the deepest linebacking core in football. And I'm even going on record if Luke, God forbid, knock on wood, if either one of our starting linebackers go down, we are going to be in trouble. But I do say that's to say, with the way that the league is transitioning now, we've seen last year, and I don't know if last year is just an outlier year because of the rule changes, but you see last year that you don't necessarily have to have an elite linebacking core to have an elite team, and that's in with the way that we've built this team now, I feel like this is a copycat league, and we're doing a lot. We're copying a lot of what the other successful teams are doing. Like, even when I look at Minnesota and I look at, and I consider Minnesota still an elite defense, they don't have elite linebacker play. Same with LA, and not saying that linebacker play isn't a huge thing, because I do believe that it is a big thing, but I also believe with improvements in your secondary, with improvements on that front four, it makes life a hell of a lot easier for Luke Kuechly, Shaq, and God forbid if one of these guys have to come in and and step into play. It makes life a little bit easier. Now, mind you, if you got garbage, it's only so much you can do to shadow garbage, and before they start getting exposed. But I think we've had out this long for Shaq. So and it's looking like he's going to pan out now. So it's like, I say if we're going to do that for Shaq, we got to give these guys an opportunity to develop. So, but I think you also make a lot of great points. We are in win now mode, and we can't afford to end the season on an 8-8 record or 9-7 record. So. I agree with you there.
You're not going to disrespect me and call me Will. First of all, this.
I am sorry, brother. I am sorry. I've been gone a couple weeks and I bumped my head. I'm so sorry. I apologize.
But I do have some counterpoints. First of all, you just said the Vikings linebacker core ain't elite. So what is Anthony Barr to you? I'll let you answer that in a moment. But this is a big factor to consider. We started off 6-2 last year, right? That's 8 games. 4 of those were without Thomas Davis. The reason why we were successful is because we had Shaq as a good that player that can come in and not miss a beat. All I'm saying is we got to keep having that. Like, who's going to be Shaq if he was to go down? I'm just not absolutely comfortable with the young guys yet. I do understand they got to develop, but at the same time, let's just have some insurance come in just to compete with those guys at least.
Yeah, Will, you mentioned in the chat earlier today about cuts, right? And NFL teams going to have to make hard decisions. Do you think there's some linebackers out there that we could possibly pull on and bring them on just to see if they can provide that insurance?
Well, you got, like Larry said, guys like Mason Foster. But I think, at the same time, we got to put our players in position to win. And when you watch that Buffalo game, Buffalo comes out 5 wide. They're moving Cole Beasley inside. So you're asking Jermaine Carter to cover Cole Beasley. And I think that's a lot to ask for any linebacker to be able to go toe-to-toe in space with a quick slot receiver like that. Mm-hmm. So, if the team's going 5 wide, why aren't we using more of a dime package to get better matchups? Put a nickel on Cole Beasley as opposed to a linebacker. And I think that's the same thing, that Shaq's on at times that he struggled with at times. You got even TD, you can't put these guys linebackers on these shifty slot receivers and expect them to be able to. That's the mismatch that teams are going to try to create and attack. So I think maybe we should see more dime packages, put more DBs out there. Mm-hmm. I know we're talking about the Vikings since we're on that topic. I know Mike Zimmer's a guy that open-minded and put 6 DBs on the field at once. Because he wants to matchups and not allow teams to spread them out like that. So Carter did struggle in coverage, but I think at the same time, I think we can put him in better positions to win and give him better matchups.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely, because, when we go back to when we played the Bears, outside of, Mayo 2.0, which was Norris, Carter and Smith, both, played well when they was able to line up like matchups against tight ends and running backs. They was making tackles and limiting, yards after the catch, because quote unquote, traditionally, that's where what linebackers are, trained to do and, trained to cover. Again, this, which has always been a pet peeve of mine, and I understand we're just going basic during preseason, because I know during practice that I saw down at Walford, we was lining up in dime sets when we was going 4 and 5 wides. So to see nickel against that, I just think that, that's just us just keeping it under wraps until it's time to use it. A little frustrating to watch, but I definitely think that they has plenty of room to grow, but I don't think it is as dire of a need to quote unquote bring someone in, because at the end of the day, bringing someone in is only taking away reps from them to develop and grow. And if we don't invest in draft picks in these guys, although quote unquote they're 4th round and lower, but still, let these guys get their lumps like everybody else. We all know that players mostly don't show their value until their 3rd year, and both Carter and Smith are in their 2nd year. So with the new scheme and, new play calling being done this year by Rivera, I feel confident that in a pinch that they will be able to perform well enough to get the job done. That's not me just going off blind faith. Again, that's just seeing that, as Will said, that when they're put in positions to win, they make plays. But, you can't have 240-pound linebackers covering 180-pound slot receivers. That physics just not going to allow that.
Hey, Kev, the football mind in me completely agrees with you, man. We got to have development. The only way for these guys to develop is if they get the reps. But the Panther fan in me can't stand to see it. I just know that we have a team that's ready to win right now. It seems like every single time that we're in that position to win the big one, it's one or two positions that kill us. Go back to the Super Bowl. I guess we had to sit there and let Mike Remmers take his lumps, right? What did that result in?
Yeah.
2013, I guess we had to just let Melvin White take his lumps and learn and develop. He got torched. Like, it's just like, I'm all for getting development, but at the same time, I just want to have an insurance policy in case those guys don't answer the bill. Right. Cornelder is somebody I believe in 100%. I want to see him be great. But he took his L's. You know what I'm saying? It's just like the timing. The timing of him learning and taking those L's, those are meaningful games. I'd rather that stuff happen early in the season. But when it comes down to it, December and January, I want to make sure we got the right talent in the right spaces. That's all.
Fair enough. And I guess we'll have a better assessment after the game. Is Thursday or Friday, fellas?
Thursday this week.
Thursday. Yeah. So after the Thursday game, we'll have a little better idea of whether that insurance policy is on our team, or we're going to just start searching, because we can't risk having this stout of a defensive line, this type of secondary potentially, and only having two linebackers that we can actually rely on for week to week. That's not going to do it. It's just not going to do it. I don't think Tepper is going to be very happy about having this type of team that he helped put together, and we have the weak spot at the spot that we've been the strongest at for all these years, and it comes up to being an Achilles for us, and that's not going to be good, especially not for Ron Rivera neither. It's going to be interesting.
You know what? That should give us all security, though, because of who our head coach is. But that's Ron Rivera. If he take pride in anything, it's that linebacker spot. So I guess we got to kind of trust him in that aspect.
Yeah.
But, again, I just know for a fact, no matter what front we're in, 30, 40, nickel, dime, that front four, that defensive line, that rotation we got, ain't nobody stopping them. The only way you're going to stop them is dinking and dumping and throwing screen passes. I promise you, we're not going to have to worry about deep balls because we got too much athleticism on the back end. Yep. We're not going to have to worry about nobody running it up our gut because we just too stout. Right. That front is elite. I don't care what it look like on paper. I've seen enough on film to know that group of guys are going to dominate.
Yeah.
So I try to think from an offensive mind, like, damn, if I got to see Mario Addison, Bruce Irvin, Gerald McCoy, Kawan Short, Dontari Poe, Ryan Burns, Christian Miller, Marcus Haynes, how do I stop that? You know what? They're going to come after me, but I'm just going to dig it off to my running back. Yeah. That's all I can think of. So I just feel like that's what teams are going to do, and we just got to find a way to stop it and make sure we have the personnel to stop it. That's all.
Absolutely.
And if I can add one last thing, Tim, but going, I like what you said about how Tepper and Ron likely aren't going to be happy or, go with having one of our stronger positions now becoming one of our weaker positions on defense from a linebacker standpoint. But, fellas, let's just be honest. That's the name of the game with football. It's like times change and with that, things have to evolve. We have to evolve. And I guess the biggest thing that I can point out is, a couple years ago, we looked at Seattle secondary as elite. You couldn't score, you couldn't throw the ball on Seattle secondary. And now not only is nobody in that a part of that elite secondary even on the team anymore, but that's probably one of their weaker areas on that defense now. And that's just a part of the game, and this time last year, we were all asking for elite play in our secondary or better play in our secondary. And we were also looking for better play in our front four. We have that now, and I don't want to be the Debbie Downer, but it's almost impossible to expect to have it all. It very rarely do you have a defensive unit where very rarely do you have a 2015 Denver Bronco defense, or very rarely do you have a 2013 Seattle defense to where at every single level on that defense, you're stout. And that's just, the realist in me says, we realistically speaking, we're not going to have an all pro at every single position. Let's just call it what it is. But does that mean that we won't have an elite defense? Absolutely not. And just like Larry said, with that front four, I don't see how any offensive line can come fourth quarter defend that, can block us, especially up front. And then adding a guy like Trey Boston, adding, Dante Jackson coming to year 2, Bradbury looking to make another step in our defense. And then Eric Reed, as the last insurance policy, I'm totally okay with the linebacker core not having to carry the load on defense like it has been for the last 7 or 8 years. Again, like I said, we've been blessed for 8 years to have 2 all-pro linebackers, and times have changed, fellas, and that's just the rule of the game.
I'm glad I'm back because I got plenty to argue about. I'm glad you're back, man. But listen, bro. Patriots, outside of the Patriots, think about the teams that win Super Bowls. They do have those elite style defenses where they got all pro type talent on all 3 levels. I'm not saying all 11 guys got to be all pro, but you got to have elite play on all 3 levels. And that's all I want. And in the event that somebody were to go down, Kevin drives this home every single day we speak. All he cares about is having quality depth. Because if you lose somebody, you don't want to miss a beat. So when I look at our defense as a whole, I think we got quality depth just about everywhere except that one spot. That's why it's going to continue to be a concern for me, because I'm looking to see if Luke or the Shaq were to miss any kind of plays, who's going to come in and not miss a beat. But I think Will was up next.
Yeah, Will. Yeah, go ahead, Will. What were you going to say?
I think, what you got to realize as well is we were in a plain vanilla defense for that preseason game. We haven't even seen the type of exotic blitzes Ron's going to have in his pocket and dial up, once we're full go when the season starts, True. So, now you're going to have maybe Carter pass rush and Burns dropping into coverage. And, if you watch the combine, Burns has sideline to sideline speed to be able to play in space. Bruce Irvin has that too. So I just think there's just so many different looks that the defense is going to give you that, I think you can scheme around, one injured player. Like if Shaq's out for a game and Carter has to come in and play next to Luke, there's ways you can scheme around that. So I think, when you talk about having all pros at all 3 levels, I think this team could potentially have that with KK and McCoy up front, Luke at linebacker, and then the secondary, one of those guys can potentially step up, whether it be Reed or Dante Jackson. I think there's potential for that. So, on the best case scenario, this is a loaded defense. We just have to have guys step up, and I think we'll see that eventually. Carter got some reps last year. He had a couple slip ups here and there, but we'll see.
Kevin, you want to add on to that?
Nah, man, everybody pretty much, drove home what I've always felt and thought. So, I think Larry kind of going hard on my linebackers because, they're not from FSU. But, it's all good, though. You know what I'm saying?
I tell you what, though, man. Now,
keep in mind, too, when Eric Reed played in San Francisco, he stepped down into the box when they needed that extra linebacker depth. So now you're putting more athleticism down there as well. So what if you go with the lineup with Luke Kuechly and Eric Reed stepping down there, Golden and Trey Boston on the back end? That's that 3 safety look like the Chargers are using.
That's a really good point.
That's exactly what I was going to bring up, dude, because Eric Reed can hold it down in the box. Without a doubt. He can guard the tight end, and he can disrupt the run play without a doubt. And we have that safety situation where we can rotate. I believe it was a Cockrell or one of the DBs was circling in with the safety position. So, we can shift it around if need be. That's not a problem at all. But it will make me feel better if we have somebody who works with the linebacker core at all times. That's their position. That's what they do. If we have somebody like that, or maybe two people like that who could come in behind Luke and Shaq and hold it down, and we don't have to rely on them quite as much. That's just my worry. But yeah, Eric Reed can hold it down in the box. That's no doubt about that. He looks like a linebacker shit. That's a big dude, bro. It's a big dude.
Y'all gonna let off on me because y'all can't yell at me because I'm spoiled. Think about everything I done been through in this Rivera era. If Keekley go down with a concussion, Dave Vaughn used to come in. He wasn't elite, but he was good enough, so it felt like we weren't missing a beat. We won games with that.
Yeah.
That's all I'm asking for. I don't care if it's Carter, Smith. I'm just asking to give me that high-level production where I feel like we still going to be successful at that particular position. That's all.
Yeah, step on the field and put out.
I've been spoiled, bro. You can't get mad at me at that. I've been spoiled with linebackers. Damn near all 18 years I've been a Panther fan, whether it's from Dan Morgan till now. I've always had great linebackers, even backup. So
yes, sir. That's
just like a standard for me. I can't let go of that. We got to have it. That's all.
Damn you, Thomas Davis. Damn you. Oh, man. So, real quick, the dome is up. I repeat, the dome is up. Are they practicing in there yet, Kevin? Or are they running around in there?
Yeah, the bubble is up and running. Today was officially the first day that the players were able to practice inside the bubble. For those that are not aware, the bubble is the newly renovated practice fields for the Carolina Panthers. Basically, they dug up the old two fields, and now I guess you said we got a field and two separate halves, because what they've done is the bubble is about 60 yards of playing field on the inside. It's pressurized, something that allowed the players to protection from inclement weather. Like they said, when they went inside today, it was easily 30 degrees cooler than what it was outside. So with it being in the 90s, you're talking about it feeling like in the 60s in there. That's definitely got to be a relief, especially for the big boys in the trenches. And of course, we all know that practicing in ballrooms and convention centers pretty much for the last 25 years.
That's
so
real. That's real.
There's definitely a few jabs about that from some of the players, now that the bubba's been put up. So shout out to Mr. David Tepper for coming in a year ago, said he was going to do it.
Yes, sir.
And it's done came to life. So I appreciate that.
Right on. Hey, Will, Monty, Larry, you guys have been in one of those facilities before? I know some of these college teams have those domes on their campuses.
No, I have not, but I can definitely relate to having to do your walkthrough in a damn convention center.
Yes.
I'm serious. This is high school.
Real talk, yeah.
We used to play for Piscataway, which is a big high school in New Jersey. Malcolm Jenkins, Kyle Wilson, Anthony Davis, former NFL players that, played for Piscataway. But whenever we played them, it was always late in the year, like around Thanksgiving. It was always either snowing or raining up in Jersey. So when we traveled there to go play them, we ended up in a convention center at the Embassy Suites Hotel doing our walkthrough. So just to hear that our NFL team is doing that was completely unacceptable to me. I'm so glad that the dome is here.
Right.
I know how hot it gets down there in Charlotte, Spartanburg. I live in Atlanta. It hasn't been less than 98 degrees all summer long. So I think it's going to benefit the guys.
Yeah, well, it's been a long time overdue for me. I've been one of the few fans that have. That's one of my biggest knock when Jerry Richardson was here was we didn't keep our players up to date with times.
Word.
And that's with that's with the training facilities to having to have our boys live in a college dorm for a couple weeks and where that's all cool. It's you got to move with the times. You got to keep your boys up to date, and like you said, that's what us have been looking for and had been calling for a while now. So I think it's been well overdue. I'm glad that Tepper got it done and got it done quickly. And again the player and just looking at from the players' reactions, they love it. So I feel like that's another thing as well. So I'm happy. Like you said, when you play this, just play the applaud sound in the background because I think that's just another great thing that Tepper's been trying to incorporate here with the Carolina Panthers, and and I say you can see bringing what he brought or the atmosphere or that that winning mentality from Pittsburgh. You can tell he's trying to incorporate that here in Carolina, and I love it. So yeah, man, it's a good thing to see, man.
Amen. Will, you ever been? I know you've played some ball in your day. You ever have to line up in like a gymnasium or a conference center or some shit?
Well, first thing I gotta say is, man, hopefully Will Greer could hit somebody with his colored jersey on, throwing indoors instead of outside. But high school, rain outside, we in a basketball gym. In college as well, Howard, I always say my high school facilities was better than our college facilities. So again, we could be in a basketball court trying to run a practice walkthrough and all of that. And, just don't have enough space to run routes and do what you need to do. But just to see an NFL team practicing in the convention center, that's just unacceptable to me. So, I'm happy that they finally did this. Practice, the train shouldn't stop rolling just because it's raining outside.
Exactly. And you would think that, Richards being obviously an investor, he would invest in his team more by, having facilities where they can keep practicing and which will allow them to win games. I don't understand why he just let that slide for all those years. I don't get that.
Money.
There you go.
Yeah.
Drowning in it, bro. Drowning in it. He can care less, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't want to be that guy to say he could care less, but I'm one of the proof is in the pudding type of guys, and don't spit in my face and tell me it's raining outside, and that's kind of how I felt a lot of times with Jerry Richardson. He didn't do a lot when it came to a lot of the Panther relations, and when it just like I said, just keeping us up to date with what every other NFL team has in the league. It'd be different if we were asking for something that nobody else had, but this is to me, I feel like this is just common stuff, like a facility that's not having your guys practice in 200-degree weather. I feel like that's not a hard thing to ask for, but of course Richardson had his own personal agenda, and I wish him the best, but I'm not losing a second of sleep knowing that he's not our owner anymore, man.
You know what, Monty? Yeah. I'm with you. Go ahead, Kev.
Yeah, and another thing I think that with Jerry Richardson, by him being the old school guy, we're talking about someone that played in the 1958 NFL championship game. I just think that a lot of his ways was reverted back to those days where it was just toughness, grind us out, macho. It doesn't matter what the weather is, my team's tough enough to enhance. I think a lot of that mind frame when it came to modernizing, the facilities with us, I think some of that just had to do with, his vision of how he wanted his team to be, tough, rugged. I mean, look at it. We, strong defense, running the ball type coach, type coaches we primarily had here in, Carolina have always been defensive minded coaches that like to establish the run offensively. This is just the type of things that Richardson, did as a player, and it just kind of, led over. The only time we kind of had any sort of offensive, mind frame was when George Seifert was hired. And for them years, we put up points, but we just gave up too many on the other end. So, but I just think a lot of the ways he was sluggish with modernizing, I think it just more so had to be with his mind frame of, we're going to be old school, blue collar, tough it out, beat you up type of guys. And I think that's one of the reasons why we've been so inconsistent as a franchise. Still no back-to-back winning seasons. I call it for what it is. I think it was just his vision that held us back.
So, Kevin, you telling me that touch a girl button run thing is old school? You telling me that touch a girl butt thing, that's an old school thing? I thought that was something we did in the 80s, but Richardson was up to date. Let me leave that alone, man.
But you still let it go, Larry. Let it go.
Yeah, I know where to go, man. I'm sorry, man. Dude was just walking through the office doing his thing, man. So,
oh, big cat. Here, kitty.
Yeah, looking forward to Jeans Day.
Right?
Let me take you to dinner, baby.
Oh, man. Who needs a dome when you got a bubble? Come here, girl. All right, we good. Sorry, guys. We get a little carried away sometimes. But I am super excited that they got this facility. We don't have to skip practice, as some of you guys, you listeners, you probably already know if you're a Panther fan especially. We had to, not practice last year sometimes. And you can't have that at the professional level. Yeah, these guys have been playing football all their lives, true, but it's that continuity and that, that collective understanding of where your guy is going to be and where you're supposed to be and the speed at which that happens, right? Yeah, it's important. So not practicing, that's highly unacceptable. I don't know why in the world that happened in the first place, but yeah. We got the Super Bowl in 2015 without it. Lord knows what happens if we got it. I'm just saying. All right, so anything you guys want to say before we wrap up?
Yeah, I like to say something. Panther fans, no matter if we win or lose come Thursday, it is preseason. Please keep it in mind. This is still preseason. Let's again. We all have we all make it this game bigger than what it is. I know it's the Patriots. I know it's Tom Brady. I know that Cam Newton is undefeated against Tom Brady and Bill Belichick.
In the regular season. I
am fully aware. Say it again. In the regular season. It is still preseason. The ultimate goal is to get better and come out healthy. So please, regardless of the outcome, if we lose 15-0, it's okay. It's going to be okay.
It's going to be okay.
It's still early, but but other than that, man, I'm ready for the season. It's getting kind of boring. I'm tired of talking about pointless games now. I'm ready to start where the games count.
Hey, Monty, if we lose, I'm just going to remind Panther Nation that the Falcons are 0-12 in their last 12 preseason games.
There you go.
Damn.
And if I can remember correctly, they've made the Super Bowl within that 3-year span. So, that just goes to show you how much preseason actually don't really mean anything. So.
Mm-hmm. Will, you have anything to say before we get out of here?
Yeah, like you said, man, we're talking about practice, not a game.
Not a game.
We talking about
practice. Come on, man.
It's like you said, man. Take it for what it is. We want to see the team get better. Get right, do what they got to do to get ready for week 1. But at the end of the day, it's just preseason. We're just trying to evaluate players and fill out roster depth.
Kev?
Tim, the reason why we coming at the fan base like this is because on one of our very posts, you had a guy complaining about Ron Rivera's decision making, he kept going for it on fourth down. We were so unorganized. They called a timeout for no reason. People really just couldn't grasp that it's preseason and we're just trying to evaluate. I'm bothered by that.
Hey, man,
and let me say this. I'm by no means a Will Grier fan, but for some of our fan base to be as hard as they are on Will Grier with 2 damn preseason games under his belt, it's comical, it's dude, and then I even saw where Kev responded and showed Cam Newton's preseason stats and numbers, his rookie season, and it just preseason. I hate to be that guy because I know that it is important. It is meant to get guys better, but preseason is by far, especially come game 1, 2, 3. If it's not game 3. A lot of 9 times out of 10, your starter's not even playing. So, we have to relax. Panther Nation, you have to just relax a little.
Nobody be happy now.
Yeah, Tim, dude was mad because we weren't voted on 4th and 3 instead of kicking the 10-yard field goal, bro.
In preseason.
In preseason, where the kick don't matter at all. Bro.
Come on, bro. Oh, Lord have mercy. You know,
we can't spend a half hour bashing folks, man. We're just trying to educate. That's all.
Yeah. We're trying to educate, and you know, the more you know, right, the least likely you are to get upset about stupid shit. I'm just saying.
Hey, Tim, what's the saying? If you know better, you do better.
Hey,
now y'all know better. You know, so there we go.
Somebody write that down, quick. Write that down. All right, fellas. So, man, thanks for checking us out, folks. This is another 4-Man Rush podcast by the 4-Man Rush, and we have all 4 of the 4-Man Rush on here tonight. So, yeah, you are welcome. So, yeah, on behalf of myself, Timmy VO, Larry, Monty, Will, and Kevin, we would like to thank you guys for coming through. Big shout out to Norris and Canardo and Ladarius and Vince for contributing and helping us out with the 4-Man Rush as we continue to give the Panther Nation what it is that they need when it comes to Panther news and media. So, if you're listening to this podcast in the morning, afternoon, or evening, please have a good day. Be careful out there. And as always, folks, let them know, fellas.
Keep pounding.
Keep pounding.
Yeah, keep pounding. We see you guys next time. Peace.
Take it time to really let it breathe. So baby, just chill. Yeah. She love it. We out in public and we can just chill with my partners, and we can go back to my crib and just chill under covers and do we call me and you lovers.
The 4-Man Rush is brought to you by the love and respect of and for the Carolina Panthers and Carolina Panther fans everywhere. Keep pounding. The 4-Man Rush is a non-affiliate of the Carolina Panther organization. All thoughts, assessments, and content of this podcast is directly related to the 4-Man Rush exclusively. Thank you.